Hello guys, this is your friend. We are back with a new fanfic. Which is What If Naruto and Hinata Were Demon Couple Part 1. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then please press the like button and subscribe to my channel for more fanfic like this. And now let's start a new fanfic. Naruto-kun. A young female teenager's voice yelled as she chased after the blonde-haired Uzumaki Naruto, who was walking out of Konoha gates next to an old white-haired pervert. Huh, Hinata-chan. Naruto swiftly turned around to face the bluish-black-haired beauty known as Hyuga Hinata. She was about 14, same age as Naruto, with the lavender Hyuga eyes which were pupilless, a family bloodline. Hinata was already blushing. She knew of Naruto's training trip. He would be gone for 3 years. But she knew what she had to do. I came to say goodbye. Don't worry. I'll see you again in 3 years. Naruto smiled brightly, his blue eyes shining with excitement. No, you won't, Hinata thought to herself. Well, have fun. And don't get into too much trouble. She smiled at her crush. Me? Trouble? Never. He chuckled. She gathered all her confidence for this moment, embracing Naruto in a hug. She leant to whisper in his ear, "Love you, always," before pressing her lips to his gently. After today, she would never see him again, but he wasn't supposed to know that. Demon couple. 3 years later. I love you too, Hyuga Hinata. I know it may have taken me like 3 years to figure out my feelings for you, but I love you and I'm coming back for you. Those thoughts echoed through Naruto's mind as he jumped from branch to branch. Naruto was 17 years old now. He had grown a lot during his training. Well, yeah, he was ripped. He had lost all of his baby fat and was no longer short. He was taller than Jiraiya now, and probably every one of his old friends. His blonde hair was slightly longer, but didn't reach his shoulders, and his cerulean blue eyes sparkled with excitement. He looked down to his left to see Roki, a golden-colored fox, with bright blue eyes running dutifully by his side. Roki and Naruto had been together for about 2 years now, and they were always together. Even though Roki was pretty much had the same mind of the Kyuubi no Kitsune that lived inside Naruto's stomach. Come on, Roki. Let's go see the Hokage. Naruto smiled as Roki nodded and the two sped up towards Konoha. Wait for me. The white-haired pervert, also known as Jiraiya the legendary Sannin, complained and sped up too. In a matter of 6 minutes and 42 seconds, the trio had reached the front gates of the well-known Konoha. The place they called home. Looking up, Naruto smiled to see the group of people who were standing out the gates, all with bright smiles on their faces, preparing themselves to see the new Uzumaki Naruto. I'm home, Naruto yelled, and with a burst of speed, quickly reached the group, a smile on his face. Hey, Naruto, good to see you back. The first person who spoke was the abnormally pink-haired Haruno Sakura. The girl Naruto used to have a crush on. Hey Sakura. He smiled back at the girl. How cute. You've got a fox. Ino looked at Roki, who was still standing next to Naruto, wagging his tail excitedly. So what have you been up to? Choji, a slightly overweight man asked, absently digging through a packet of chips. Everything, Naruto said, looking through the faces of his friends. There was Sakura, Choji, Shikamaru, Tenten, Lee, Ino, Kiba, Shino, and even the Hokage, Tsunade, and her assistant Shizune, all there to see him. He noticed Hinata wasn't there with a pang of disappointment, but neither was Neji, so it was probably some clan thing. Sorry I'm late. Naruto smiled when he heard Neji's voice. There was a clan meeting and I had to be there. Another smile from Naruto. He was right. After a couple seconds, his smile dropped. Hinata still hadn't shown up. Hey, Neji. Where's Hinata-chan? Every person other than Naruto and Jiraiya's face dropped. And after seeing all their expressions, Naruto started freaking out. Is she okay? What happened to her? Is she alive? He couldn't bear the thought of the last question, so he turned to Tsunade, Ba-chan. What happened to her? Tsunade stepped forward. Calm down, Naruto. She's alive. So where is she? The hospital. He was just about to leave when a hand caught the edge of his jacket. He looked up to see Jiraiya staring down at him. Let her finish. Here, we'll explain all this in my office. Tsunade sighed, heading towards the Hokage mansion with everyone else following obediently. Demon couple. Once everyone was seated in the Hokage's office, with Naruto and Roki standing up in front of the Hokage's desk, Tsunade started to explain. It was 3 years ago. Right after you had left for your training mission. Hinata had gone missing, and no one knew why. That's when I got a note. Tsunade trailed off, searching through one of the drawers in her desk, and pulled out a folder. Gently taking a paper out of it, she handed it to Naruto, who started to read aloud. Wait, Tsunade interrupted, but the rest of you are unable to know the contents of this letter. So don't read it aloud, Naruto. That just made everyone else curious, but they did what they were told. Naruto continued to read, but this time not out loud. Tsunade-sama. First, I'm going to say sorry. Sorry for doing this to you, but I have to. I don't have another choice. You don't know how much I wish I did. But I guess it's for the best. Now I know I've got some explaining to do. I've left Konoha. For good. I'm sorry, but I can't come back. The reason why, my clan. Well, what used to be my clan. I was to be given the caged bird seal and thrown into the branch family to marry some jerk. But that wasn't the worst of it. Okay, before I tell you the rest, please don't tell the rest of my classmates this, apart from Naruto. I think he deserves to know. And tell him I meant what I said when I saw him before he left, hopefully he'll remember that. Anyway, I was never good enough for the clan, and when I was 13 I found out why. I am a Jinchuriki. I hold the Gobi, the five-tailed wolf. I guess my life was easier than most Jinchurikis though, because no one knew, except my clan. Even I didn't know until last year. Okay, well, they were going to take the Gobi out of me and place her in my sister. Hanabi shouldn't have to live like that. No one should. Plus, by taking the Gobi out of me, I would have died. And that really isn't on my to-do list. Anyway, I'm sorry. I won't do anything to hurt Konoha. I love you guys. Have a great life, and don't let this bring you down. And please, don't try to bring me back, because it will end in disaster. If I was to return, I will just end up dying by the hands of the Hyuga. Hyuga Hinata. No, for now on, I am Hinata. Just Hinata. P.S. Sorry. Tears were in Naruto's eyes by the end of the letter. And Roki was looking down. Since Roki had the Kyuubi's mind, they could contact to each other by their thoughts, so Roki knew everything Naruto knew. Naruto gently handed the letter back to Tsunade. She was like me. All this time, she was a Jinchuriki too. That thought just made those tears spill over his eyes. Where is she now? He tried to ask calmly, but you could hear the emotion in his voice. Tsunade sighed, blinking back her own tears, before digging her hand back into the folder, and pulling out another piece of paper. She has grown strong, was all Tsunade said as she placed the paper in Naruto's hands. Missing Nin. Name. Hinata. Age. 17. Class. S rank. Location. Unknown. Information. Hinata left Konoha at the age of 14. Since then she has single-handedly slaughtered 3 of the Akatsuki members, earning her S rank. She is only accompanied by a large black wolf, known as Masaki, and seems to be no threat to villages. She is seen helping strangers, but is dangerous to be around. Strengths. Hinata excels in Byakugan techniques and taijutsu. She had created her own style of taijutsu which is virtually unbeatable. You do not want to go into close combat with her. She also knows a large variety of water techniques, and Masaki, the wolf, is also known for her various techniques. Hinata also has seemed to give Masaki the Byakugan, which no one has figured out how. Most techniques are suited for defense, but she does have a strong offense as well. If captured, she is worth $296,000 for her Byakugan and body in Kumogakure. Naruto glanced at Roki, wondering if Masaki had the Gobi's mind like Roki had the Kyuubi's. But Naruto had learned it from one of the elders in the Temple of Misidane. Random word I made up, it's a place. His eyes suddenly widened in realization. Flashback. Naruto and Jiraiya were standing inside a large temple, and in front of them was an elder, Elder Gina. The elder smiled, I've had someone come to me not that long ago searching for the same thing. She was quite young too. I'd say she'd be the same age as you by now. Yes, Uzumaki Naruto, I am willing to help you. End flashback. I'm sorry, Naruto. If it helps, she really looked up to you. Tsunade sighed. Naruto nodded slowly, I know. All he wanted to do was find her. But he knew he couldn't bring her back. I'm going for a walk. He was about to walk away when Tsunade stopped him. Wait, Naruto. There was one more thing she left for you. Tsunade reaching into the folder again and pulled out a sealed envelope. We haven't opened it, since it wasn't addressed to us. She handed him the envelope with, please give this to Naruto, written on the front. Naruto took the envelope and disappeared out the door. Leaving everyone slightly disappointed, they all wanted to see what was in that envelope. But they knew it was probably private, so they let him go. Naruto was standing on the top of the Hokage Mountains. He was alone, well, apart from Roki who was always by his side. Sitting onto the ground, he gave Roki a quick pat on the head before staring back at the envelope. I know she meant a lot to you, Kit. Remember she said she loved you always, which means now too. Roki nudged Naruto on the shoulder, trying to comfort him. Naruto nodded, opening the envelope and pulled a piece of paper out, but something fell onto his lap. He gently picked it up to look at it. On a black cord hung a silver wolf. He smiled at the wolf briefly and hung the necklace around his neck before opening up the letter. Naruto-kun. Well, I'm going to start this letter like the last one. I'm sorry. Please know that I'm really sorry for leaving. Naruto, I told you I love you before you left because I knew I wouldn't see you ever again. Sorry for that too. But I'm going to explain myself. I don't expect you to like me back. You can detest me like the others who know about the Gobi. But I would like to thank you. Thank you for being there when I needed a friend. Thank you for cheering for me when I felt useless. I admire you for that. It is the reason I fell in love with you. I love the way you never give up, your bright personality, the way you smile and say you're fine even when I know you're not. You've had a tough life, but anyone who meets you would have no idea. You smile so no one would worry about you. But I've always been able to tell people's feelings, deep down I can see what you really feel. But the thing that really made me fall for you was your smile. But it was the smile you had when you were truly happy. I'm sorry. And thank you. Take care of yourself. I'd tell you not to get into trouble, but you are Naruto. And trouble is a part of you. So I think I'll just say, don't die. Become strong. Become Hokage. Love you always, Hinata. Naruto read the letter 3 times before gently folding it back up and putting it in the envelope. Tears fluently falling down his face. Why did she have to leave? It was her damn family's fault. Hinata-chan, please, I have to see you again. I need to tell you that I love you too. Roki was whining unhappily then. I don't like this Hyuga clan. Hinata didn't deserve it. But we will find her again. Whatever it takes. Naruto nodded agreement, sliding the letter into his pocket and stood up, looking out towards Konoha. I'll find you, Hinata-chan. That's a promise. The first thing Naruto did when he returned to Konoha was search out the Hyuga compound. As he trudged towards the compound he ran into Neji. Hey, Naruto, how are you feeling? Neji asked, slightly concerned. Naruto sighed, all right I guess. I just really wasn't expecting this. And I miss her you know. Neji nodded in agreement, I take it you know why she left. He asked. Naruto nodded, she told me in the letter. So you know too. Yes, I do know about her, tenant. I also know about yours. I don't think about you any differently because of it though. All Junin are told as they need to know just in case something happens. But Hinata's was new to me. I would never have expected it. Only the Hyuga elders knew about it before she left. Neji explained. Naruto was a little shocked at that. Did she know about me? He asked. Neji shook his head. No, I don't think so. She wouldn't have acted any different if she did though. That's Hinata for you. She sees people on the inside other than on the outside. Her kindness was overwhelming and she didn't deserve this. Naruto let out an unsteady breath. I know. Before she left, she told me that she had feelings for me. I didn't know what to think, but while I was training I figured out a few things. And now, she's gone, just when I find someone who loves me. They disappear. He blinked his tears back, refusing to let them fall. Neji sighed. What are you going to do? Give those Hyuga bastards a piece of my mind. Naruto growled, Roki barking in agreement. Neji sighed. This wasn't going to turn out too well. Wait, Naruto. Before you storm in there, you really need to think this thing through. Talk it out with someone so your rage isn't controlling you. Just don't go running in there expecting answers and beating people up. Naruto sighed, but who will I talk to? No one knows what I'm going through. You've talked to me, we've both decided to destroy the Hyuga, what more is there to it? Roki growled in annoyance. Talk to someone who cares. Someone you are close to. Neji walked off. I care. So it's decided. Let's go. Naruto ignored him. Who cares? Well, Hinata cares. And she's missing. I can't talk to anyone. They don't know about the Kyuubi, or Hinata's Biju. Naruto thought with a sigh and walked off towards his apartment, an unhappy fox by his side. Demon couple. Hey, Naruto. You're back. How are you doing? Learn anything new? Naruto heard the voice of his old teacher, Iruka, while he was on his way home. Yeah, Naruto sighed, I guess. Iruka looked to Naruto with a confused expression on his face. Do you want to talk about it? Naruto actually smiled after hearing that. He could always talk to Iruka. Yes, I would like that. Ramen. Iruka smiled. Naruto's eyes sparkled. Definitely. Demon couple. Naruto and Iruka had just ordered their ramen after a brief greeting with Tsuki and Ayame, the people that worked at Ichiraku, the ramen stand. Iruka and Naruto were seated at the far end of the stand, so they could speak in private without anyone else listening into their conversation. Roki was keeping lookout so no one would intrude. He knew Naruto needed to talk about this and was hoping Iruka would know something else about the Hyuga's disappearance. Naruto sighed loudly. I heard that Hinata left the village about 3 years ago. Iruka sighed unhappily. He heard about that. She had a lot of talent. Just none of those Hyuga elders knew how to appreciate it. Damn right. She has killed 3 Akatsuki members. I just wish she never left. Naruto said, depressed again. She was a kind young kunoichi. I could tell she was destined for great things when she was in the academy. She was a kind soul, the only one of your age that didn't laugh at you. I could tell she knew you were hurting. I was surprised she was hurting too. She was good at hiding it to make others feel better. Iruka sighed sadly. I saw her, before I left. Naruto admitted, she came up to me before I walked out Konoha gates. She said good luck and confessed to me. I don't know what to do, Iruka. I just found a girl who actually likes me, and while I was gone, I think I actually fell for her. I wanted badly to get back to Konoha and see her again. But she isn't here, and I don't know what to do. Iruka patted Naruto on the back comfortingly, saddened at the distraught expression on his face. Hinata and Naruto would have made a great couple. He knew that for a fact from the way they acted around each other in the academy, and, truthfully, he was determined that they would become a couple in the future. But he guessed things don't work that way. He looked up when Naruto continued, it sucks, you know. If I knew how she felt about me sooner, she might still be here. We would be together and I would have found a way to stop the Hyuga from putting her in the branch family. She's like me, Iruka. She's a Jinchuriki. She doesn't know about mine, but I know she'll accept me. It's just not fair. Naruto couldn't hold back the tears now. He hadn't let his tears fall out all day, but now as he was speaking his thoughts aloud, pouring his heart out, he couldn't hold the tears back any longer. I know. It isn't fair. Uruka agreed. Hinata would have accepted you, Naruto. Even if she didn't have a Biju in her, that's just the way she is. But she's gone. And she's not coming back to Konoha. The Hyuga made sure of that. But even in the academy it was obvious she had feelings for you, Naruto. She won't demolish those feelings, ever. Uruka admitted. He knew it wasn't what Naruto wanted to hear, but he needed to know that she wasn't coming back. You just need to be strong. Like she is being strong now. If you can't be strong for yourself, be strong for her. She will always care for you, especially you. I know. She told me she'll always love me before I left. But I love her. I really do. And I want her by my side. Naruto complained. I'll do anything for that. She's away from her home, alone. I know what that's like. And it isn't a good feeling, being alone. I don't want anyone to feel like that, especially her. I love her. There is a chance you'll find her again, Uruka said comfortingly, intentionally not mentioning the fact that she probably wouldn't return with him to Konoha. Naruto shook his head. No, Uruka. It's not a chance. I will find her again. It's a promise. And I always keep my promises. He vowed, clutching his wolf necklace with his left hand. He intended to keep that promise. Demon couple. Talking with Uruka really helped Naruto. He was now lying on his bed in his apartment, staring at the roof with a small smile on his face with Roki curled up at his feet. I'll become Hokage. And when that happens, I'll stop this madness in the Hyuga clan. Then she will be able to return. Believe it. I still think we should massacre the Hyuga. They're too arrogant for my tastes. Roki put in his 2 cents. Naruto chucked at his accomplice. You're the most arrogant thing I know. There is not a day that goes by that I don't hear about your unbeatable power and how you would be able to destroy the world if you wanted to. Naruto sighed audibly, closing his eyes and letting sleep take him. Demon couple. A.N. Sakura is a bitch in this fic, okay. I have just decided that someone has to be evil, and she was chosen at random. Ino is just following along to whatever she says. Ino will actually be good in a few minutes, smiley face. A few days later. What's with all this secrecy around Hinata's disappearance? Sakura Haruno complained to her best friend, Ino Yamanaka. Ino shrugged. I'm not sure. I was told that she left because her family treated her badly and were going to send her off to Kumo because they'd pay for her Byakugan. She said confidently. She knew all about the gossip in Konoha. Ino was confused. Oh, yeah. You're right. Then why did she run away? I think she's a traitor. Sakura said stubbornly. I never really liked her. She's probably just taking the coward's way out and leaving Konoha. Ino looked to her friend, even more confused now, but Sasuke left Konoha too, and you don't call him a traitor. Sasuke would never do something like that. It's probably some secret mission so he can infiltrate Orochimaru's base because he's so strong and talented, only he can do it. Sakura decided, all dreamy-eyed. Ino had her doubts about that, but didn't dare contradict her. But hasn't Hinata killed 3 Akatsuki members? And isn't she S rank? I read that about her in the bingo book. Ino wondered. Sakura sighed at her best friend's hopelessness. That is obviously incorrect. You remember Hinata, don't you? She's a bad ninja. She really sucks. She would never be able to kill an Akatsuki member. Okay. Ino nodded, taking all this new information in, then we gotta figure out why she left. Sakura just nodded in agreement, and I know who will know. Who? Sakura smiled, the only person who was able to read that letter today. Naruto. Demon couple. Naruto was walking around town, avoiding thoughts about the Hyuga so he wouldn't head over there and demand answers. But that was getting extremely difficult with Roki thinking up ideas how to torture the Hyuga, which, in turn, was running through his head. He smiled when he saw Shikamaru and Choji standing out the front of a barbecue restaurant, just what he needed to get his mind off of things. Shikamaru. Choji. Naruto yelled, running up to his two friends. Hey Naruto. Choji smiled. How are you? I heard you were pretty upset the other day. Shikamaru said, giving Naruto a knowing look. Naruto nodded, a little better, but I just have to get my mind off of things, so would you mind if I joined you? Come on then. The more the merrier. Choji said with a smile as he led the way into the barbecue shop. 5 minutes later they were all seated at one of the booths of the shop. I heard that Sakura and Ino were looking for you. Choji said as they started eating. Naruto gave them a confused look. What would they want me for? Shikamaru sighed. I'm not sure, probably something troublesome. To you, everything's troublesome. Choji sighed. Is there anything untroublesome? Shikamaru smirked. Of course, cloud watching. Naruto laughed. I don't see what's so great about clouds. They bore me. All they do is float around all day. Shikamaru was about to reply when they heard a voice being yelled at them, Naruto. We were looking for you. And Sakura was running straight for them with Ino by her side. What is it, guys? Naruto asked. We want to know about Hinata. Sakura demanded. Naruto's face visibly darkened. What about her? He asked suspiciously. We want to know why that traitor left the villa. Sakura started but was interrupted by Naruto. She is not a traitor, got that? She didn't leave the village to befriend the enemy like someone I know. So don't accuse her of it. Naruto said harshly, Roki growling at her in agreement. Shikamaru was watching this confrontation with one eyebrow raised. He was slightly confused as to why Naruto was so protective over Hinata. He knew why Hinata left. He figured it all out a while ago and he knew about the Kyuubi but wouldn't have guessed Naruto had feelings for the girl. Sakura fumed. What's your problem? I just want to know what happened to her. Why are you so protective? Protective. The word echoed through Naruto's head. He was protective because he loved her, damn it. He was protective because Sakura was accusing her of something she didn't or wouldn't ever do. I'm protective because she's my friend. That would have to do. But why won't you tell us? We need to know. Sakura complained. You don't need to know anything. I'll go on a date with you if you tell me, she tried. No, I don't want to go on a date with you. Naruto growled. Sakura was shocked, but you've always wanted to go on a date with me. Not anymore. Not for a long time. Naruto disagreed. Sakura was starting to get angry now. Why not? Because I don't like you like that. Naruto answered simply. Fine. Pig. We're leaving. Sakura said and started to storm off. Ino looked to Shikamaru, Choji and Naruto and wanted to stay with them. She didn't like how mean Sakura was being. Sorry, forehead, I'm staying with these guys. Sakura just harumphed and continued walking off when Ino took a seat next to Choji. Sorry guys. Ino apologized. Sakura has being really mean lately. I noticed. Naruto sighed. Shikamaru finally decided to say what was on his mind. You like her, don't you? Naruto's eyes widened. Who? Sakura. No way. Not Sakura. Hinata. Shikamaru said. Naruto sighed loudly, blushing a little bit. Is it that obvious? Not really, you're just really protective of her. Shikamaru explained. I just didn't like how Sakura was talking about her. She didn't deserve it. Choji tried lightening up the mood. Don't worry about it, Naruto. At least you're not still going after Sakura. And you still might see her again. I did. You saw her. Naruto's interest was piqued. Yeah. I was on a mission with these guys. He gestured to Shikamaru and Ino before continuing. She saved my life. We were ambushed by some missing nin, but she wasn't one of them. It was just after a fight we already had, so we were all pretty low on chakra. I didn't notice one get behind me and I would have been dead if she didn't appear and push me out the way. She said a brief hello, and if she didn't stutter I wouldn't have known it was her. She told us to leave and she handled it. Choji summarized. What did she look like? Naruto asked. Shoji smiled at Naruto. Well, she was wearing blue contacts so people wouldn't see she had the Byakugan and she's grown her hair out. She still had her bangs but the rest of her hair reached her waist. She wasn't much taller than I remembered her, but she had grown a lot. Naruto nodded, taking all this new information in. Thanks guys. I really needed to hear that she was okay. She still looks after Konoha even though she's a missing nin. He smiled slightly. She was really pretty too. Ino piped up, although I reckon her lavender eyes suit her better. Shikamaru smiled and patted Naruto on the back. Don't worry about her, she is strong enough to look after herself. Naruto nodded. I know. It was 7 o'clock in the morning when Naruto was called to the Hokage's office. He entered the office a little confused as to why he was there, since he had no missions for the rest of the week. Looking around the room he saw a suspicious Tsunade sitting behind her desk and a concerned Shizune standing next to her. What's going on, Ba-chan? I don't get why I'm here. Naruto admitted. Tsunade sighed. Well, I got this for you. But I'm concerned and a little bit worried as to what it actually is. She explained, holding a letter out in front of her. It was sent to me, but is addressed to you. We have got our top sealers to try and open it and reveal its contents, but they have been unable to do so. So we are hoping that if we give it to the person it is addressed to, we will get some answers. She explained, handing it to Naruto. Naruto immediately put his guard up, just in case the contents of this letter were going to physically harm him or something. He took the letter from Tsunade and read the writing on the front. Tsunade-sama, give this to Uzumaki Naruto. I don't know where he lives so I can't directly send it to him. You will not be able to open this. Only Naruto can. Thank you. A bright smile graced Naruto's face, his eyes sparkling. He knew who sent this. Tsunade also noticed the smile. You know who sent this to you? She asked. Yes. Hinata. He said happily. Tsunade was a little bit shocked as to how he knew that, and how Hinata could get an envelope only to open if Naruto was holding it, but let Naruto open it anyway, waiting for his response. The letter wrote, Naruto-kun, sorry for writing to you again. Especially if you don't want to see or talk to me because you hate me. But this is urgent. Well, not really, but I want to help you as much as I can. This piece of information I am about to give you will help you keep one of your promises. I will not write to you anymore, as you probably wish for me not to do so. I only shall do so if it is urgent or is something I feel the need to tell you. Okay, the whole reason I sent this to you and you only is because I am worried you won't get this piece of information if I give it to Tsunade. No offense to her. It's just she will probably think it's for the best that you don't know and she'd let the higher ranked people know. Okay, I'll start by telling you that I had a run-in with Uchiha Sasuke. He hasn't changed much, apart from now he's even more arrogant than before. If that's possible, after disposing of Kabuto, who he was with at the time, I had a heart-to-heart chat with him. I thought about knocking him out and sending him to Konoha, but I thought you should have the honor of doing that, and I wasn't sure I'd be able to defeat him without severely damaging myself, and I can't go to hospitals or anything because people will find out where I am. I rely on Gobi Chakra to heal me and I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be able to do the job. I am fairly certain that you are stronger than me Naruto-kun, and you will be able to bring him back, just like you promised you would. Anyway, I managed to convince Sasuke that Uchiha Itachi was going to have a meeting with the Akatsuki near the edge of the east border of Fire Country. This will happen in a month. Be prepared, and I will be there to make sure you don't die. But don't worry, you won't see me. Please don't tell anyone where my whereabouts will be, I don't need any bounty hunters to know. Good luck and please don't die. Hinata and Masaki. XX. Naruto was in shock after reading that. Hinata knew where Sasuke was going to be. She was still helping him even though she was so far away. He smiled at the letter. Even when she wasn't here she was making him fall more and more in love with her. There was also a map in the envelope, which had one spot on the east border of Fire Country circled in red. Finally, Naruto looked up to Tsunade. You might want to read this. He handed her the letter. I am going on this mission, he added, before she could even read it. Tsunade just raised an eyebrow at him and read the letter. Once she was done, she looked up to Naruto with a sigh. Fine. In a month, you will go with 2 others of your choice. And one of those has to be a Junin. Got it. Come to me when you have all that figured out. Naruto nodded and disappeared out of the Hokage's office. Demon couple, Kakashi-sensei, Naruto said, running up to the silver-haired man with a mask covering the lower half of his face and his headband covering his left eye. What is it, Naruto? Kakashi asked. I want you to train me. I need to know how to fight against the Sharingan. Naruto explained. Kakashi nodded. He was one of the select few that heard about Sasuke's whereabouts in a month. Okay, but I'll warn you. I'm not going to go easy on you. Naruto nodded. Good. Okay. Come to Training Ground 7, I'll meet you there. Kakashi stated, disappearing with the Shunshin. Demon couple. Naruto appeared in the training ground just as Kakashi ordered, waiting for him. He didn't get any warning, apart from a, don't look at my eyes, from Kakashi before he was attacked. Naruto jumped back to gain space, nodding to himself as he thought through his game plan. Okay. You aren't allowed to look directly in my eyes or you will be a goner, got it? Try and guess my moves by looking at my feet or sensing my movements. Only use taijutsu for now. Kakashi explained in a little more detail before charging at Naruto again. Naruto stared at Kakashi's feet, trying to dodge but he was finding it difficult. He dodged a punch to his left shoulder but missed the knee to his stomach. Naruto jumped backwards again, staying on the defensive as he knew the offensive would do him no good. Naruto fared a little bit better when he was on the defensive, managing to dodge 3 of Kakashi's intended blows when Naruto accidentally looked too far up and was caught in a genjutsu for looking in Kakashi's eyes. It was a simple genjutsu, luckily, and Naruto quickly sent out a burst of chakra to release the genjutsu. He was too late though. Kakashi had already slammed him, so he was flying across the training ground when he actually got to release the technique. Demon couple. The next few days were hard for Naruto. But he was getting better, slowly. He no longer watched the feet of Kakashi as he found that too distracting. He shut his eyes completely, relying on his other senses entirely. The only problem with this was that Kakashi would throw rocks and things in all directions, making sound all around him, which made Naruto unable to know where Kakashi was. He also had started using jutsu against Naruto, making the whole thing a little bit harder, which is why Naruto had to spend the whole day yesterday in the hospital. At this moment, Naruto was in the middle of one of those training sessions. He was feeling better from yesterday and determined to master this new skill. Naruto's eyes were closed, and he was relying on sense of smell and hearing. He was extremely lucky. He had an advanced sense in both of those things thanks to the Kyuubi. He was standing perfectly still in the middle of the training field waiting. Then he heard the sound of a foot touch the ground directly behind him. Kakashi was extremely skilled with the art of stealth, so he had to pay his complete attention to hear him move. Quickly Naruto ducked under the fist he could sense coming at his head, and pulled one leg out, swinging it around the ground, hoping to knock the copy ninja off of his feet. But when he felt no one in the way, he knew the ninja must be in the air. He could feel the sparking of a Chidori and jumped back as a smash was heard from where he was once standing. He was breathing heavily now. Taking a deep breath, he started preparing to be barraged again when both he and Kakashi heard the voice of Shizune. Naruto. Kakashi. Tsunade wants you in her office immediately, she called out, running towards them. Naruto's eyes snapped open. He looked over to the panting Shizune and called out, Roki. Roki was asleep next to one of the trees in the training area. He hadn't taken part in this training and he wasn't going to watch as Naruto would be able to hear his thoughts and then would know what was happening without relying on Naruto's own senses. So Roki had been using this time to catch up in some sleep. But when he heard Naruto call, he immediately jumped up and looked over to Naruto, running over to his side. What's happening? Not sure yet. Tsunade Ba-chan wants to see us. Naruto explained before he, Kakashi, Roki and Shizune ran back to the Hokage's office. Demon couple, what's going on, Tsunade? Naruto asked as he barged into the office. Sakura was already standing there, waiting for the rest of them to arrive. Is it a mission? But my week isn't over yet. It's urgent, she answered simply. What's happened? Kakashi asked, seriously. Tsunade looked up to them, her face deadly serious. Gaara's been taken by the Akatsuki. Naruto, Sakura, Kakashi and Roki were running towards Suna. They had to get there quickly and save Gaara. Gaara was taken by the Akatsuki earlier that morning and they would reach Suna by tomorrow if they kept up the pace. Naruto, Kakashi said in a warning tone. Yeah, Naruto looked up to Kakashi. Kakashi spoke without looking at Naruto. Don't rush off to save Gaara when we reach Suna, okay? We need to meet up with Temari and we need to find out where he is first. Okay. This is the quickest way to get it done, alright? Yeah, I can't believe Gaara got case cage. Naruto whined. He had been doing so once every 5 minutes since he learned that Gaara was now the case cage. Yes, we know, Naruto. Sakura sighed in annoyance. You've told us 50 times already. Naruto nodded hesitantly. Okay. But how would they know where Gaara is when we get there? He turned back to Kakashi. I will probably have to summon Pakuin or one of my other hound dogs to catch his scent. Kakashi thought about it. Naruto smirked. Don't worry, Roki has that covered. He has really advanced senses, even for a fox. Roki barked in approval. Kakashi looked over to the fox, slightly suspiciously. I've been meaning to ask you about Roki. Before he could go on, Naruto interrupted. I would answer all your questions about him later because it's kind of confidential. He said, giving a small glance to Sakura unnoticeable to anyone but Kakashi and himself. Kakashi nodded. He was a little bit more curious now, though. Since it had something to do with Kyuubi. But let it go for the time being. Demon couple, Temari. We're the team from Konoha to save Gaara. Naruto yelled out when he saw the girl standing out the front of Sunagakure. Temari looked up, a bright smile on her face when she saw exactly who was on the team that would come and save her brother. Come, we need to find him as quickly as possible. Temari said urgently, heading towards the case cage's tower. Team 7 followed Temari to the case cage tower, where a secretary of Gaara was standing at the door, waiting for them to arrive. Misaki. Temari called out to the secretary, I'm going to go inform the elders, take them to where Gaara was taken and hopefully they will be able to collect his scent. I'll meet you there. Temari said and disappeared as she ran up one of the many staircases. Naruto followed Misaki as she walked to Gaara's office. Roki. Naruto ordered, find Gaara's, or the Akatsuki's scent and tell me which way they took him. Roki just barked in recognition and pushed his nose to the ground. I'm coming with you. The door burst open, leaving a girl standing there panting heavily, her brown shoulder-length hair sticking slightly to her face as sweat dripped down. There's no way in hell that I'm going to stay here while my Gaara-kun's in trouble. She panted. But Matsuri-san, Misaki begged, Temari-sama already said that you can't go. Naruto looked over to the girl, who had obviously been under a lot of stress and walked over to her, gently putting a hand on her shoulder. It's okay. If I was in your position and the girl I loved was taken by the Akatsuki, there would be nothing in my way to get to her. But Temari's right. I promise I'll get him back for you. He said gently as the girl started breaking down again. Suddenly Temari was standing in the doorway. Matsuri-chan, you need to go back home, relax sweetie. Matsuri turned to glare at Temari. How can I relax? Gaara-kun might not be alive. I need to go out there and find him. But Mat-chan, Gaara wouldn't want you out there in harm's way. She tried, wrapping the crying girl in a hug. It was at that moment when the window burst open, Where did they take Garane? A feminine voice ordered, standing in the center of the room with a large wolf by her side, leaving everyone surprised at this girl's speed. Naruto's breath was caught in his throat. All he could do was reach up and grab hold of the wolf pendant that was dangling down his neck and stare blankly at the gorgeous figure in front of him. She had blue eyes and her long bluish back hair trailed down to her waist. Her figure was still petite but had filled out a lot since he had last seen her. But then again, the last time Naruto had seen her was 3 years ago. Who are you? You aren't supposed to be here. Misaki was shocked at the girl's sudden appearance. Hinata sighed. Look, I'm sorry, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm here now and I'm getting my brother back, then I'll leave you peacefully. She said gently. Let her go. Tamari sauntered through the door. She's a friend. Thank you, Tamari-chan. Hinata smiled at Tamari. I would say it's good to see you again, but I'm not in a good mood. Well, you're going to help get my brother back, so that is all I need. Tamari smiled at the girl. Well, he's like a brother to me too. Hinata then noticed the crying Matsuri. Don't worry, Mat-chan. I promise I'll get Gaara back to you. Hinata said with a smile, leaning over to pat the girl on the back when she hit a chakra point, catching the girl as she collapsed into a light slumber. I've got Gaara's scent. Roki snapped Naruto out of his frozen state. Roki has Gaara's scent, Naruto said, before turning to the long blue-haired beauty. You can travel with us. He was silently hoping no one else would recognize her. He needed to ask her a few things before anyone would notice. Hinata turned around and nearly fainted at the sight of Naruto. Luckily she pushed that down, but tripped as she was already starting to walk and landed face first on the ground, shaking slightly in horror. She got up, quickly controlled her blush and noticed Roki next to him. Roki is like me. Misaki confirmed Hinata's thoughts, making Hinata lock eyes back with Naruto, who smiled one of those smiles she loved and winked at her. Let's go, Kakashi said loudly, taking charge as Sakura followed and Tamari jumped after them, after a subtle wink at Hinata. Hinata and Naruto followed along behind, Naruto trying to get a chance to talk to Hinata in private. Roki headed to the front of the group when Hinata ordered Misaki to go to the front as well. Who are you? Sakura asked Hinata. Hinata stumbled. Guys, this is Tamika Hanoi, Naruto answered for her, earning a sigh of relief from Hinata. We met while I was on my training trip. Sakura gave Hinata one more suspicious glance before turning back around and heading forward. Hinata-chan, Naruto said quietly. Hi Naruto-kun, she whispered back. Oh man, I'm so happy to see you. He smiled, reaching over and engulfing her in a hug, lifting her off of the ground so they could keep moving towards Gaara. You're not scared of me. You don't hate me. Hinata blushed in Naruto's arms. You, Roki. Are you like me? She said quietly. He nodded. Yeah, you never really figured out why everyone hated me. Hinata smiled back. I'm not that smart. Naruto's smile disappeared. I got something to tell you after we save Gaara. He said, gently putting Hinata down so she could run again. Okay. She agreed. Thank you for not telling them. Hey, you're not off the hook yet. Naruto smirked. Mistress. 2 Akatsuki are up ahead in a cave. They have Gaara. The fight with Gaara must have taken a lot out of them. They are both low on chakra. Hinata heard Misaki's thoughts. Naruto-kun, Hinata started. I know, Roki just told me. Naruto nodded. Hinata nodded, but added some things that he might not have known because Roki didn't have the Byakugan. They are both low on chakra. It obviously hasn't been long since they fought Gaara. At the moment they are vulnerable. But I don't want you guys getting hurt. Hinata looked down shyly. Naruto looked over to her. I could say the same thing. The two of you take out the Akatsuki and we'll take a detour. Roki thought to Naruto. Naruto nodded, grabbing Hinata's hand. Come on. He quickly made 2 shadow clones, one of Hinata and one of himself. We'll take out the Akatsuki. Roki is going to take them on a detour. Hinata nodded, silently informing Misaki about their plan before activating her Byakugan and heading towards the Akatsuki members. Demon couple. Hello again. Hinata smiled brightly when she walked up to the two Akatsuki members, Sasori and Deidara. Gaara was in Sasori's grip, unconscious. Hey, look, it's another little demon, Deidara smirked. Hinata frowned. That's not a nice way to speak to a lady. You tried to shave my precious hair off last time. Deidara shot back. I was just wondering if it was as smooth as it looked. Hinata continued in her gentle calm voice. I'll see how you look when you're bold. Deidara growled, and before he could jump at Hinata, something landed on him harshly. Now, I quite like Hinata-chan's hair as it is, thank you. Naruto was sitting on Deidara smiling brightly. Another one. We're too weak to take on two of them at once. Sasori jumped backwards, shying away from the demon containers. Naruto chuckled loudly. Did he just call himself weak? He asked Hinata. Hinata nodded. I think he did, Naruto. What are we going to do about that? Let's show him how weak he already is. Naruto smiled. Let's do just that. Hinata agreed, but I get Deidara-chan. I'm jealous of her hair. I didn't get to chop it off last time. Deidara fumed. I'm not a girl. Naruto acted like he hadn't spoken. Nah, I like your hair better. He disagreed, getting off of Deidara so Hinata could go at him and charged Sasori. I'll take on this guy then. Demon couple. Hinata charged Deidara, dodging all the clay birds that were thrown at her. She smiled. She had already fought Deidara before, so she knew she had to stay away from the clay because it can blow up any second. She quickly gathered her chakra as he stared to throw more and more clay creatures, chakra pulse. She yelled and pushed out a bit of chakra from each of her chakra points, throwing the clay in all directions. She knew she could only beat Deidara in close combat, all she needed to do was get close enough. She could make it to Deidara, but it was going to take a bit. She sighed. This was going to hurt and charged towards Deidara at top speed. The clay kept blowing up near her, but she moved at the last second so it wasn't going to hit a fatal position without stopping as she ran forward towards Deidara. Quickly activating her Byakugan, she ran in for a Jukin palm to his stomach, when she noticed something wrong about Deidara. With a gasp in realization, she tried to pull back before her Jukin palm could hit him, but she couldn't stop the momentum, and when her palm hit the Deidara, it blew up, sending Hinata flying to the wall of the cave and tumbling onto the rocky floor covered in scratches and bruises. Her eyes widened when she saw him heading to where Naruto was fighting Sasori and where Gaara was lying on the ground, still unconscious. Hinata ran, trying to get to Deidara before he could do something. Luckily she was faster than him, and quickly kicked him in the side, sending him into a tree near where Sasori was fighting. She was about to run back over to Deidara when she saw that he had already sent out clay towards Naruto. She wouldn't have been able to make it to him in time, so she yelled, Naruto. Whatever you do, stay away from the clay animals that are coming your way. Naruto looked up, clearly shocked by Hinata's shouting. Then noticed the clay heading for him. Nodding to himself, he created 6 clones to take care of him as he turned back to Sasori. He was already breathing heavily, as Sasori had 2 puppets out in front of him. But he was lucky. Thanks to the Kyuubi, he was immune to the poison the puppets were throwing at him. He charged again. He had already defeated a few of these puppets, so he knew he had to hit them in the joints to disable them. Ducking under the spears the puppets were throwing at him, he pulled out a kunai from in his holder and slashed it across the elbow joint. Then he had to jump up into the air, dodging the second puppet's axe. But now he was in the air, and falling down to where the puppets were waiting. Shadow Clone Jutsu, he yelled, creating 10 shadow clones and all started creating a Rasengan. Rasengan Barrage. They all yelled at once, twisting in the air to dodge the puppets' moves, and each pushed a Rasengan into the puppets. There was a large explosion from the Rasengans and the real Naruto was thrown back and the clones disappeared in a poof of smoke. Getting back up with a bit of effort, he smiled when he saw the puppets on the ground, ineffective. Suddenly there was a large blast from the trees behind him, and he saw Hinata flying towards him. Quickly moving, he jumped towards her, catching her in his arms. "Are you alright?" he asked. She winced a little bit. "Yeah. I'm fine." She sighed as Naruto put her back up in a standing position and she stretched all her aching joints. The group heard the blasts and were coming. Misaki warned, and Naruto glanced at Hinata and they both nodded, knowing each other got the news and disappeared into the trees just as the group entered the battlefield. "Okay, guys. Sakura Tamari and I will take the red head. You other two will take the girl," Kakashi ordered, making clone Hinata, Tamika laugh. "Wait." Naruto disagreed. "Me and Tamika will take on Sasori. He works with poison. I can smell it on him. The poison won't affect me and Tamika as a venom specialist." Clone Naruto lied. "Yes. That would be a good idea." Tamika agreed. Kakashi just nodded and, after a suspicious look to Tamika, ran towards Deidara who was fuming. "I'm not a girl," he yelled as the four disappeared deeper into the woods. Koth clone Naruto and Hinata disappeared then and the real ones jumped out of the trees they were hiding in. "Okay. Let's do this," Naruto said, smiling. "Do you think they will be okay?" Hinata asked, activating her Byakugan again. Naruto just smiled at her. "Don't worry. They'll be fine. Kakashi-sensei will make sure everyone comes out in one piece." Hinata nodded, and then turned back to Sasori. "The quicker we defeat this guy, the quicker we'll be able to find out." Both Hinata and Naruto charged Sasori, dodging his hits and attempting to land a hit on him. Hinata finally got a jukin to the side of his arm, when she felt nothing happen apart from a small twitch in the palm of her hand. Quickly jumping back, she called for Naruto to do the same before explaining, "My jukin does nothing to him." She looked over to her arm, pulling out a splinter, then looking at it curiously, her eyes then widening in realization, "He's made of wood." I know he isn't really made out of wood, but you know, he is in my story. Cheeky smiley face. "What?" Naruto turned to Sasori, a confused look on his face. Sasori smirked. "I guess you figured it out then." "Yes. I made myself into a puppet." "That's creepy." Naruto shivered. Hinata just nodded in agreement, thinking through what to do about this new piece of information. "Misaki, help us out here," Hinata called. Misaki barked and jumped up to Hinata. "He's made of wood, right?" Hinata thought aloud. "Naruto, do you know any fire jutsu?" Naruto shook his head. "No." But his eyes widened. "Roki, you know fire jutsu, right?" "Yes. I know many fire jutsu." Roki barked, joining the group. "Okay. Roki, we need to set this guy on fire." Naruto looked over to Sasori. Roki's body was coated in a demonic red chakra as he started to use his Just You. Growing two more tails, he opened his mouth as a ball of red chakra was concentrated in his mouth. Suddenly the sphere burst out of him mouth into a large beam of fire that headed for Sasori, setting him on fire like they wanted. "Good job, Roki." Naruto smiled at his companion. "Now to finish this off." He charged towards Sasori, creating an Odama Rasengan in his hands before pushing in into Sasori's chest, which blew up, making bits of burning wood fly everywhere. Sighing, Naruto walked back to where Hinata, Misaki and Roki were waiting. "Good job. Now let's see how the others are going and find Gaara," Hinata said as the four ran towards where they last saw Deidara. They were a little surprised when they reached the group and Deidara was nowhere to be found. Sakura was using medical Just You on an unconscious Gaara and the rest of the group were puffing slightly, but not nearly as damaged as Hinata and Naruto. "Did you get him?" Naruto asked, surprised at how unscathed the group was. "No. We could barely fight him before he ran." Kakashi explained, said something about 3 demons. He gave a pointed look to Hinata, a little cautious. Naruto looked over to him. "Don't worry. She's fine. Trust me." Sakura narrowed her eyes at Hinata. "Tamika, why are you here?" You aren't wearing a headband or anything, yet you know how to fight. Hinata looked over to Sakura with an innocent expression. Gaara has been like a brother to me while I've been through some tough times recently. When I heard he had been taken by Akatsuki, I had to come as fast as I could to help him. That doesn't explain how you know how to fight. Sakura growled. Naruto glared at Sakura. She doesn't need to answer to you. Why are you so grumpy these days, Naruto? Geez, first when I wanted to know about Hinata and now this. Sakura yelled. Hinata's eyes widened, then turned to Naruto. What exactly happened when I was gone? Naruto continued to glare at the pink-haired Kunoichi. You're just being so nosy. There are some things you just don't need to know. Kakashi was watching the whole thing curiously, but he decided to stop them before it was too late. Stop fighting, guys. Gaara's waking up. He lied, but when everyone turned to the unconscious Cage, he started to twitch until he opened his eyes. MMNN. He quickly got into a sitting position, looking around curiously. Hinata's face brightened. Gaara. You're okay. Thank God. Hinata embraced the boy, making Tamari laugh at her antics. Imouto. What are you doing here? Oh, it was the Akatsuki, wasn't it? Thank you for saving me, Imouto. Gaara smiled, embracing the girl back. Hinata let go of him, jumping back a few steps. Don't give me all the credit, Tamari-chan. Naruto-kun and his team did all the work. Naruto. He looked around for the ninja. Hey Gaara. Naruto smiled brightly when his eyes locked with the redhead. Gaara smiled at him. It's nice to see you again. He then turned to Hinata. Kun. Is there something I don't know? Hinata blushed at least 4 shades of red. Well, your girlfriend's freaking out back home. You have no idea how close it came to her coming out here alone. Gaara looked to Hinata softly. Thank you for convincing her to stay. I couldn't take it if she was hurt out here. Hinata smiled gently. I know, that's why I might have knocked her out. You knocked her out? He glared. If you hurt her. Hinata continued to smile warmly at her brother. Don't worry, I was gentle, I just hit a nerve on her neck. She's fine. He sighed thankfully, turning back to Team 7. Everyone, I say we meet for a feast tonight. Okay. This is a thank you for saving my life. This goes for you too, Imouto. And you better show up this time. He warned. Hinata shook her head. I can't. I'm leaving about now, and you know how I don't like attention. I'm not heading in the direction of Suna anyway. You know I can't stay here for too long. Now that I know that you are okay, I can leave. Gaara sighed. Fine. But keep in contact this time. She just smirked. You know that's not going to happen. I can't let anyone know where I am. I need to talk to Tamika in private for a minute before she leaves. We'll be back. Naruto informed, as everyone sat around Gaara, Sakura still healing his wounds. Hinata nodded and jumped up, following Naruto deep into the woods. Hinata-chan, Naruto was blushing. He needed to tell her before she left again but didn't know how. Yeah, Naruto-kun. Hinata looked up to him a little curious. Naruto smirked when he came up with an idea. He reached towards her and pulled her into his embrace, leaning down to whisper into her ear, "Love you too," before pressing his lips against hers. Hinata was shocked, but kissed back anyway. Naruto wrapped his arms around her petite waist while Hinata reached up with her hands around his neck. Gently breaking the kiss, Naruto pressed his forehead against hers. I don't want you to go. I want you to stay with me. I know it's selfish, but I want to be with you. Hinata had tears running down her face. But I can't. I'm not coming back. I'm a missing nin, remember? Hinata cried into his chest. Naruto patted her head gently. Then I'm coming with you. He decided. Hinata stopped sobbing in his chest. She was in shock. But you have a home. You have friends. You can find someone better than me. I'm not going to let you make this mistake. She cried, trying to convince him that he was making a bad decision. You had a home too. You still have friends in Konoha. And you left. Now you're fine. Why can't I leave too? He protested desperately. You just can't. What about being Hokage? You can't give up your dream for me. My life is over in Konoha. You still have yours. You can grow up surrounded by your friends, your precious people, and you can become Hokage. Don't give it all up for me. She cried. I'm not worth it. He looked down to her in shock. But you are worth it. You're worth all of this. To me, you're worth the world. Hinata-chan, I love you. And now that I've found you, I'm not letting you go. He pulled her away from his chest so he could look her in the eyes. Hinata felt like she was going to faint now. Her face was extremely red from all the blood rushing up there. I love you too. But Naruto, you shouldn't do this. The life of a missing nin isn't what you want. I want to be with you. Wherever you are. And if that means I have to be a missing nin, then so be it. Naruto said stubbornly. Hinata cried and buried her face into his toned chest. I have never had anyone care about me that much. Naruto-kun, I can't let you come with me. You belong in Konoha where you can protect all your precious people. You are my most precious person, Hinata. I don't know what I'd do without you. The last few months without you have been hard. You don't know how much I want to go over to the Hyuga clan and kick their asses. I don't know what I'll do if I don't see you again. Naruto was crying now, embracing Hinata, holding her against him, not willing to let her go. Hinata took in a deep shaky breath. Okay. You got my note about Sasuke, right? And with a nod from Naruto she continued, in 2 weeks he'll be there. I will meet you there. In that time I really want you to think about your decision. Tell me in 2 weeks what you decide. I'll miss you. She took a few steps back, preparing to leave. Love you. Before she could run, a hand caught her by the wrist, spinning her around to face Naruto again. Naruto reached with his other hand around his neck, pulling the necklace Tsunade gave him off of him. Here. Something to remember me by. A promise that I'll see you again. He placed the necklace around her neck. I'll miss you too. Be safe. He leaned down and his lips were against hers again, gently caressing each other. Naruto wound his arms back around Hinata's waist, deepening the kiss and getting closer to her. Hinata's hands found their way to Naruto's head, massaging his hair with her fingers as Naruto licked the bottom of her lip asking for entrance. She was about to accept his tongue when he pulled away for a second. Just long enough to call out to Roki, Roki, if anyone tries to interrupt, kill them. He said, before turning back to Hinata and found her lips against his again. She opened her mouth this time, allowing him access. His tongue roamed around her mouth, making her moan into his mouth in appreciation, her tongue dancing with his. Finally they broke the kiss, both panting heavily but refusing to let each other go. 2 weeks. Hinata sighed unhappily. Naruto nodded with his chin rested on her head. I'll be there, don't worry. I'll miss you. Love you. Love you too, so much. Tightening her grip slightly she laughed humorlessly. I can't believe that today has become my happiest and the saddest day of my life. She sighed when he nodded in agreement. See you soon. She reluctantly left his embrace, and after one more gentle kiss on his lips, she disappeared into the forest. Demon couple. Naruto walked back to the rest of the group after cleaning up a little bit so it hadn't looked like he had been crying. What the hell took you so long? Sakura growled, your pet nearly ripped my head off when I went looking for you. Naruto had to hold back a chuckle and raised an eyebrow to his furry companion. You said kill them, Roki reminded. Naruto thought for a moment before replying, good job. Thankful that no one interrupted. He then turned back to Sakura, you probably did something to piss him off. He doesn't like being called a pet either. I really don't think he likes you. Naruto bit back a smile before walking over to the suspicious Kakashi. What's going on, Naruto? He asked when Naruto reached him, are you okay? No, but I will be in 2 weeks. And the conversation ended, leaving Kakashi with tons more questions. Where's Tamika? Sakura asked. She left already. Naruto sighed sadly. Gaara just raised an eyebrow at Naruto, wondering what he was thinking about. Come on, guys, we better get back to Suna, Kakashi said as the five ran back towards Suna. Demon couple. Gaara-kun. Matsuri's voice echoed throughout the desert as the retrieval team reached the gates of Suna. Gaara looked up and braced himself for impact as Matsuri came flying at him, latching herself onto his torso, burying her face into his chest with tears streaming out of her eyes. Gaara patted her hair affectionately. Don't worry, I was taken care of, the team from Konoha and Imouto saved me. Please don't worry about me. How can I not worry about you? I love you. And I can't help but worry. Just promise it won't happen again, that no one will take you away from me. Matsuri pleaded, lifting her face from his chest and looking up into his eyes. Gently, Gaara placed one hand on each of her cheeks, gently wiping her tears away with his thumbs. I promise. We'll stay together. And I'll never leave you, okay? She smiled, wrapping her arms around his neck and pushing her lips to his. Thank you, she mumbled, breaking the kiss. The rest of the group sighed at once, and realizing that they were being ignored, Temari took charge. Come on, I'll take you to your hotel where you can change, she said, giving one last small smile to the couple before leading the group away. Demon couple. Everyone was seated at a huge restaurant, but there were only few in such a large place. The people consisted of Gaara, Naruto, Sakura, Kakashi, Temari, Kankuro and Matsuri. Kakashi was a little worried. Naruto had been acting strangely, so he sat next to him and decided to ask what was on his mind. Naruto sighed at the question. Trust me. A lot is on my mind at the moment. You want to talk about it? Kakashi urged. Not really. It has something to do with Tamika, doesn't it? Or should I call her Hinata? Kakashi smirked at Naruto's shocked expression. How did you know? Kakashi smirked. She's in the bingo book. There aren't many people that walk around with giant wolves named Misaki, now are there? Naruto sighed. Yeah, it's about her. Well, what's on your mind? Naruto sighed. Kakashi, what would you do if you had the choice to stay in Konoha, but be away from the one you love, or leave Konoha and be with her? Kakashi thought about it. Well, you need to consider how much you love her. How far you are willing to go for her, and how much she loves you. If Hinata asked you to make the choice, she obviously doesn't care for you enough. Naruto shook his head. No, that isn't it. She was trying to get me to stay. She reckons the life of a missing nin isn't what I want. She wants me to stay in Konoha and become Hokage. But she can't come back with me. I wanted to go with her, but she told me I have 2 weeks, she'll be there when we fight Sasuke, and she said I need to think about it. So I can come up with a decision. Kakashi nodded and thought, well, I think you should think about each scenario. Okay, Naruto. What would you do if you were left in Konoha? You had finally become the 6th Hokage and everyone in Konoha acknowledges your skills. Your dream finally came true. But Hinata wasn't by your side. You couldn't see her. She was pretty much dead to you. Would you enjoy it? Naruto scrunched his face up in thought. Sure, I would finally have achieved my dream, but it wouldn't feel right. I think I'd still feel alone. I'm not sure that is what I want. I want to become Hokage so I can protect my precious people, but if my most precious person isn't with me, is practically dead to me, I wouldn't be able to take it. Kakashi smiled slightly at Naruto. Well, then, what if you were a missing nin? You had many bounty hunters after you, and don't forget the Akatsuki. You wander around cities, sleeping wherever you can find, you no longer live in Konoha, you no longer thrive to protect your home, but you had the one you love by your side every step of the way. Naruto was racking his brain to what he thought of that. I think, man, this is so confusing. I think I would be okay. I'd have to worry about numerous threats and people after me, and I wouldn't have a home, but Hinata would be with me and I wouldn't be alone. She'd help me fight the Akatsuki, run from our enemies and stuff. But I don't know if I can live on the run like that. She'd be in danger all the time. Arg, she already is in danger all the time. And all have no alliances with other cities, friends all but forgotten. Kakashi-sensei, why does it have to be so hard? He yelled, threatening to pull his hair out in the way he pushed his hands through it. Kakashi sighed at his student. I can't help you with this. This is your decision and your decision alone. You need to come up with an answer. And you will have to live with the consequences. Just think about it. Ask for advice, but not the answer from others. No one will be in the same situation as you and all would act differently if in so. You need to find out what you would do, not what someone else would do. Think about every different circumstance, and how you would react to each one. Only then you will have an answer. Naruto sighed. Turning back to his food, he sat there eating in silence, thinking about all that Kakashi had said, but getting more and more confused after each thought. He sighed, standing up and preparing to leave to the hotel when he saw some fortune cookies sitting in a basket. He decided to see if the fortune cookie would help him in his serious problem, and walked up and broke a cookie in half before reading the note inside. Some hard decisions you will have to make, but the true answer will be right in front of your eyes. Combine each of the paths you have decided to choose between and your answer will come. All Naruto could do was raise an eyebrow at the writing on the cookie, completely and utterly confused. Sighing at the thought that the cookie was utterly useless and stuffed the paper in his pocket and ran towards his hotel room, just wanting a deep dreamless sleep. Demon couple. Gaara. Matsuri. Naruto yelled as he ran up to the couple, who were, at that moment, sitting in a restaurant booth waiting to be served. I need your help. We'll be happy to help. Matsuri said enthusiastically with a smile. What's on your mind? Does it have something to do with a certain missing nin? Gaara asked with a knowing smirk. Naruto's eyes grew wide. Why does everyone know that? Is it that obvious? It's not obvious, but if you know all the details, it's easy to put together. Matsuri smiled reassuringly. Naruto nodded, a small smile on his face, and started explaining everything. He started from when Hinata confessed, then about his feelings for her, then everything that had happened after he returned from his 3-year training trip. And at last, the decision he has to make. Ah, isn't that romantic? Matsuri cooed after Naruto had finished his story. It's not romantic. I'm confused and I need help. Naruto protested desperately. Gaara looked up at Naruto. We can't decide for you, Naruto. And Hinata won't mind whichever path you choose. Don't change your decision because of the thoughts of others. Just think what you want, not about us. Ignore others' feelings when you choose what you will. Choose what you think is best for you. Gaara advised. Naruto sighed. Yeah, Kakashi-sensei said something similar. But it's not helping. I have 2 weeks to come up with a decision, and I'm completely lost. Matsuri smiled brightly. Don't worry, Uzumaki-san, you will have an answer soon enough. Naruto. We're leaving. Sakura's voice shouted from the restaurant door, looking rather pissed off. Well, I'm out of here. Naruto sighed, saying a goodbye to his new friend and his brother, before disappearing out the door. 3 days. That's how long it took to get back to Konoha. Sakura was whining the whole way, while Naruto was trying to concentrate. He thought through Kakashi's words, but he was clueless on what to do. Sakura was getting annoyed. Naruto was being quiet. And it annoyed her. He wasn't answering any of her questions and wouldn't even glance in her direction. She yelled at him to get his attention at one stage during their trip home, but he just snapped at her and told her to shut up and that he had a lot on his mind. Which made her curious, but she stayed quiet, fuming and muttering to herself. Sakura was so glad when she walked through the Konoha gates. She was finally home, and could finally get away from the awkwardness. And it just got better when Naruto and Kakashi offered to report to Tsunade without her. So she just headed home, to have a shower, relax, and watch some TV. Demon couple. Kakashi and Naruto ran towards the Hokage's office, without Sakura. Kakashi offered to report to Tsunade without her as she needed some rest. Well, That was his excuse, he really needed to talk to Tsunade about Hinata. Well, Naruto would do that, since Kakashi hadn't actually talked to the girl during their journey. But they needed to talk to Tsunade about her, nevertheless. Tsunade-sama, Kakashi bowed respectfully, looking towards Naruto who wasn't really paying attention to his surroundings. Tsunade was looking at Naruto oddly, he hadn't said one word since he entered her office, and he was absurdly quiet. Naruto? She asked, confusion saturating her tone. He looked up, as if finally realizing where he was. Oh, hey Ba-chan. He said with a small smile. Tsunade gave a look to Kakashi, asking the silent question. Kakashi sighed, he's been like this for a while. I'll let him explain it. Naruto let out a breath, okay. I'm fine. I just need to think. Hinata was in Suna. Kakashi explained, urging Naruto with his elbow to continue. Yeah, she was there, but only me, Kakashi, and probably the Sabato siblings Gaara, Tamari and Kenkoro knew it was her. She came to get Gaara back from the Akatsuki, and was shocked when she saw us there. We all left after Roki found Gaara's scent and followed it, Naruto explained. Kakashi spoke then. After that I sensed a small usage of chakra, and looked back to see two shadow clones behind me where Hinata and Naruto were supposed to be. He said accusingly. Naruto grinned sheepishly. Ah, you noticed that Well, me and Hinata went after them by ourselves while you guys took a detour. You did what? Tsunade growled. They are after you too, Baka. And her. What do you think you were doing going after them alone? She yelled angrily. Naruto seemed unaffected by her killing intent being aimed at himself. We were fine. Hinata wouldn't be able to use all her power without a chance of being recognized, so we attacked them. We were doing well, when Hinata informed me that the rest of the group was coming, so we jumped into the trees, waiting to come out when no one noticed. Well, Tsunade raised her eyes expectantly. Did you get them? Deidara escaped before we could even battle, but Naruto and Hinata killed Sasori. Kakashi informed. Thank you for your report. You may leave now, Tsunade said with a smile, waiting for them to leave her office. No, there's one more thing you should know. Kakashi said quickly. Naruto, you really need to tell her of your decision. Tsunade raised an eyebrow towards Naruto. Decision? What decision? Naruto sighed. Well, before we left, I talked to Hinata privately. And I tried to talk her into coming home, but she wouldn't. Then I offered to go with her, which she also said no. She's given me 2 weeks until I see her, to come up with a decision on whether to go with her, or stay here. He summarized quickly. Why would you want to go with her? Tsunade asked confusedly. Naruto blushed a little. Because I maybe, sort of, a little bit, could have fallen in love with her. Tsunade's eyes widened at that, and a wide grin spread across her face. Well, what do you know? I can't believe you like her. She's been in love with you for years, and you were so dense. Someone would have to spell it out for you to get you to understand. She started, but Kakashi interrupted. That still wouldn't work. He probably couldn't spell. He chuckled. Naruto just sighed. Fine. If you're going to sit here offending me, I think I'll leave. He stood up, about to walk out the door when he heard Tsunade's voice. Just tell me when you come to a decision. I need to know. Okay, she said gently, and after a nod from Naruto, he disappeared out the door. Demon couple. Naruto sighed, breathing heavily and lying on his back, looking up at the sky. He had been training all day to get his mind off of his thoughts. He knew that his mind had been so filled up with thoughts about Hinata. Naruto had decided that if it was going to keep him up at night, he was going to make sure he's too busy to worry about it all day. He sighed, sitting up and grabbing his head. Here he was thinking about her again. But he couldn't help himself. He jumped up, and started walking home, annoyed with himself and his dumb brain that wouldn't stop thinking. He had 3 days until he saw her again. 3 days. And he didn't have a decision. Naruto was starting to really freak out. He was trying to think of every possible solution, but he was getting nowhere. He stayed up late, often dozed off in the middle of conversations with people. He'd never though this much in his life. I don't want to leave Konoha, and Hinata doesn't want me to be a missing nin, but Hinata isn't coming back to Konoha and I want to be with her. He remembered the fortune cookie, some hard decisions you will have to make, but the true answer will be right in front of your eyes. Combine each of the paths you have decided to choose between and your answer will come. Combine each of the paths. Combine. Naruto's eyes widened, coming to a sudden revelation. I know what my decision is. He yelled out in realization and charged straight towards the Hokage's office for her assistance in his revelation. Demon couple. Tsunade sighed after listening to Naruto's decision. She smiled slightly. She would have let him leave the village if he chose to. Okay. Get your team, it's time to leave for your trip. I also need to write up an extra mission for you, which starts as soon as you either rescue Sasuke, or he escapes. Who do you choose to be on your team for this mission? Naruto looked up to Tsunade, the rest of Team 7. Then we will be together, even if it's only for a little while. Tsunade smiled sadly. Okay, I'll give them the mission details and you need to prepare for your journey. Naruto looked up to her one more time before he left. Can you not tell them of my decision until they get back? Yes, now get packing. Demon couple. Okay, come on, let's get Sasuke back, Kakashi said, voice full of authority, as Team 7 stood out the front of the village, just outside the village gates, early the next morning. No one questioned Naruto's rather large pack of luggage, as if he was staying for a year rather than a couple of days. But the team just guessed the pack he had was stacked full of ramen, and took no note of it. Because, truthfully, he had done it before. Hi, Naruto and Sakura called at once, all darting off in the direction that Sasuke was said to be in 2 days. Sakura, Kakashi and Naruto had been traveling for 2 days now, and were coming close to their location. All three of them were silent, mostly wondering what the outcome of this would be, if they could finally get Sasuke back. But Naruto couldn't seem to get his mind off of a white-eyed Kunoichi. Not that it was surprising. He hadn't been able to stop thinking about her for a whole week now. A sparkle appeared in Naruto's eyes when he sensed 2 chakra signatures ahead of him. He immediately knew who the signatures belonged to. One signature was obviously demonic, and he smiled at the thought of Misaki standing dutifully next to her mistress. Naruto smiled widely as he whispered, "She's here," loud enough for Sakura and Kakashi to stare at him confusedly before he took off sprinting towards Hinata's chakra signature. Hinata didn't know what hit her. One moment she was standing in the middle of a break in the woods, the next something barged into her and she flew onto the ground, landing on top of the thing that barged into her. Looking up, she saw cerulean eyes for half a second before lips pressed against hers. Hinata smiled into the kiss. She knew who those eyes belonged to. She could also tell it was Naruto by the way he kissed. His lips were firm and warm and yet they had this gentleness about him when he kissed her. After breaking the kiss, Hinata smiled up at him. "Hello to you too. I missed you." She smiled, but suddenly felt another 2 presences in the training field. Turning around, Naruto and Hinata were met with Sakura and Kakashi whose mouths were gaping and eyes bulging. Naruto laughed at their expressions and Hinata just blushed. The two snapped out of their shocked state as Naruto and Hinata quickly got up. Kakashi smiled, but Sakura wasn't so positive. She immediately got a suspicious look on her face and turned to Hinata. "Who the hell are you?" Hinata blinked a few times at Sakura's furiousness, until she felt warm arms wrap around her waist. Looking up and smiling at Naruto, she turned back to Sakura. "Hinata. But you might have remembered me as Tamika." Sakura gasped after that. You're a damn traitor. Who the hell do you think you are coming here? This has nothing to do with you. And Naruto. What do you think you are doing with her?" Hinata stood still in a bit of shock at Sakura's outburst, but gave her a firm look and spoke. if it wasn't for me you wouldn't be able to find Sasuke right now. I'm the one who told him to come here because that's where his brother was going to show up. I may be a missing nin, but I'm still loyal to Konoha and I'm not a traitor. She said calmly, in her gentle quiet voice. Sakura snorted, I don't believe you. The whole reason you left Konoha was because you're a traitor. It's not like we cared anyway. You're not strong. You've always been weak, and no one wants you back anyway. Hinata was hurt by that, until she heard a growl coming from deep in Naruto's chest in defiance. Looking down, Roki was also glaring at Sakura, teeth bared. You know what, Sakura? Hinata looked up at her, determination glinting in her eyes. You can call me weak as much as you want. I don't care. I've been told that for my whole life, that I was weak, useless. But now I know that I'm strong. And that's all that matters. And you want to know why I left Konoha? I left because my family was planning to kill me. You see, I have been burdened my whole life, with something I didn't even know I had until I was 13. And then they were going to relieve me of my burden, which would have killed me, and given it to my sister. I'm not going to let Hanabi live through what I have. So don't make accusations when you don't know what's going on. Sakura just rolled her eyes and was about to speak when Kakashi interrupted her. He's coming. Hinata nodded to herself and removed herself from Naruto's arms. Hide and conceal your chakra. I don't want him to see you yet. If he sees you he'll know it's a trap and leave. So stay hidden, she ordered. That was when Sasuke showed up, running over to Hinata and grabbing her by the collar. Where's Itachi? He ordered. Misaki immediately started growling at him for threatening her mistress, but Hinata spoke up. Misaki, don't fight. She said then, as Misaki took a step back, turned to Sasuke, I'm not going to fight you. There's no need for violence, Sasuke. Sasuke glared, but let her go and asked, what are you doing here? I don't want to see you again. You better not be following me. Hinata sighed, I'm not one of your fangirls. So why would I possibly be following you? I really don't care what you do. Then why are you helping me find Itachi? Because the Akatsuki are kind of after me. And it would be a lot easier if he was out of the picture. Hinata explained, a story she had already thoroughly thought through. Why would Akatsuki want you? You're not a Jinchuriki. Wait, are you? Sasuke guessed. Those reasons are none of your business. Hinata secretly hoped Sakura hadn't heard that part. I never would have guessed. You are a Jinchuriki. I guess you would be a worthy opponent for one day. Coming from the girl who ran away from Konoha. You're a missing nin now. Lots of people will want to kill you. Sasuke said bluntly. Hinata sighed, and I'll deal with that as it comes. Even though I left my home, doesn't mean I'm not still loyal. Sasuke's eyes widened. What have you planned? He knew something wasn't right as soon as the word loyal came out of her mouth. He took a couple threatening steps forward, narrowing his eyes. Itachi isn't coming, is he? Well, about that, Hinata kept backing away from him. That's when Team 7 decided to show up. The four took their stances, Naruto standing directly in front of Hinata, somewhat protectively, and face to face with Sasuke. Nice to see you again, Tem. Dobi. You brought the Dobi here. Are you an idiot? He yelled at Hinata. Nah, you had to insult me. Couldn't we just talk this out casually? Hinata sighed. Sasuke glared. I'm not going back to Konoha. Naruto turned to Sasuke. Okay, I might give your decision a thought if you give me a decent explanation why. Sasuke looked at everyone in the group and sighed. You know why I can't come back. I need to be stronger. I need to defeat my brother. Only after I defeat him, I will return. Sasuke explained angrily. Hinata took a few steps forward, so she was standing next to Naruto now. Look, Sasuke, she started, in her gentle, calming voice, you should come back with us to Konoha, you can get stronger there. And if you stay with us, Itachi will come. Sakura turned on Hinata. Sasuke's not going anywhere near you. You're just a demon. No one wants to be with you. Thank God Akatsuki is after all you demons. We don't want you, so it'd be better off when you die. She yelled. Everyone was speechless, and Hinata had tears in her eyes, threatening to fall. Everyone just stared openly at Sakura, sometimes giving a glance to the horror-struck Hinata. That's a lie. Naruto finally yelled defiantly. I want to be with her. So why don't you just shut up? You have no idea what you're talking about. He growled. She looked at Naruto, shocked for a moment. You want to be with her? She's a damn Jinchuriki. Well, so am. Naruto was cut off by a small soft hand covering his mouth. He looked over to the owner of the hand and she was shaking her head. Don't. Hinata whispered in her soft voice, but he could hear her and nodded slightly, before she dropped her hand from his mouth and turned back to Sakura. Sakura. Don't talk about stuff you know nothing about. Hinata isn't evil, damn it. She's probably the nicest person you'll ever meet. She's probably faking it. Don't you get it, Naruto? She's using you. Can't you see it? Sakura yelled. Sasuke was watching this whole thing confused. Had they forgotten about him? He thought so until he heard Hinata's gentle voice say, Sasuke-san, making him look up to her. I'm willing to give you a chance. You can travel with me and Misaki. We aren't going back to Konoha, and we're getting stronger by the people we pass. Soon enough, Itachi will come after me. You will have your fight then. And then you can do what you want. Okay? Hinata asked softly. Kakashi quickly put a hand over Sakura's mouth before she could interrupt, watching Sasuke intently. Sasuke was fidgeting slightly, but looked up to her nevertheless. Okay. There's nothing else Orochimaru can teach me anyway, I'll give this a chance. Naruto gave Sasuke a small smile. I need to talk to Hinata-chan for a moment. He turned to her. I've made a decision. But we need to talk about it privately. And with a nod from Hinata, the duo retreated deeper into the forest. Demon couple, so you have made your decision? Hinata asked gently, looking up to Naruto, eyes sparkling. He smiled lovingly at her, giving her a cute kiss on the forehead. Yes. Well, Hinata snuggled her way into his chest, chin against his torso, looking upwards at Naruto. Happy to finally be able to show him affection after so long. Naruto ruffled her hair gently. I'm coming with you. Hinata raised an eyebrow, letting the information sink in. Really? Why? She asked. He grinned, that smile she loved. Because I love you, silly. I've already talked to Ba-chan about this, and I get a year-long mission to train, in which I'll be with you. Then after the year is done, I'm going to come back to Konoha. And I'm kind of hoping you'll come back with me. We can take on the Hyuga clan together. He looked over to Hinata hopefully. Hinata was uncertain. I'm not so sure that's a good idea. He looked over to her confidently. Well, I got a year to convince you. He pecked her on the nose. She smiled at that. And you won't become a missing nin? She asked hopefully. Nope. I'm still a ninja of Konoha, just on a training mission which is to keep watch over a certain missing nin. He looked over to her meaningfully. Hinata let out a small squeak of happiness and wrapped her arms around him, murmuring her thanks into his chest. Come on, Naruto, it's time to head back to Konoha. Kakashi suddenly appeared with the glaring Sakura by his side. I'm not going with you. Naruto looked up to the group defiantly. Huh, why not? Sakura yelled. Talk to the Hokage. She'll explain everything. I've got a solo mission, and it starts now. Naruto looking down to the girl in his arms with a smile. What is this mission, exactly? Kakashi asked Naruto, curiously glancing between Naruto and Hinata, thinking that she had something to do with it. It's confidential, Naruto said, which Kakashi roughly translated to, I'd tell you but Sakura would blow up in my face and I don't feel like arguing with her, in so many words. Okay. Let's go, Sakura. We can talk to Tsunade about Naruto's mission later. Okay. Kakashi sighed as the duo left. So you're traveling with us? Sasuke asked, standing next to the couple. Naruto grinned widely. Yep. Well, where are we heading first? Anywhere in particular? Sasuke turned to Hinata. Hinata thought for a minute. Well, I hadn't decided anything. So you guys can choose where we go next. As long as we're not going to Kumo, because they are after my eyes. Oh, and preferably not near Oto either, since Orochimaru is probably still after you, Sasuke. She said thoughtfully. I know, I know. Naruto yelled in realization, let's go to Spring Country. I wanna see Princess Yukie again. Hinata gave Naruto a questioning look, you know the princess of Spring Country? She asked. Yeah, we saved her life ages ago. Sasuke nodded. Well, it's fine with me. Which way to Spring Country? Hinata pulled a map out of her back pocket. Well, we go northeast from here, and we should get there in 4 days if we walk. The trio didn't run, they were in no rush. This wasn't a mission or anything, they were just wandering. Masaki and Roki were walking out the front of the group, navigating, and Naruto, Sasuke and Hinata were just behind them. Hinata was in between the men, holding Naruto's hand firmly as they continued to walk. Sasuke, Hinata asked innocently, what's it been like with Orochimaru training you? Well, every day I'd meet up with him at his training grounds, he'd show me a jutsu which I'd have to copy with my Sharingan, then practice that jutsu for the duration of the day. He explained casually. Hinata then turned to Naruto, what about you? What's it like training with Jiraiya? Naruto snored slightly, smiling at his girl, well, he was an A- class pervert. He'd start by showing me a jutsu, giving me a brief description on how to do it and leave me to figure the rest out while he'd go peeping at girls in the hot spring. He sighed, it was really frustrating, but I learned a lot in the end. He smiled over to Hinata, squeezing her hand slightly, what about you? What have you been doing in 3 years? She sighed loudly, traveling. I'd travel around countries and towns, learning some jutsu from the people who were nice enough to teach it to me, but that was very few. So I'd train by myself, creating my own new jutsu out in the forest. It was awful lonely, but it got better when I got Masaki. She explained. Soon enough it was getting dark, and everyone decided to stay in a clearing for the night. Naruto set up the tents, while Sasuke collected the wood, and Hinata set out to catch some fish to cook. Hey Naruto-kun, Hinata asked as they were sitting around the fire eating the fish Hinata had cooked, what's going on with Sakura? She was so. Hinata drifted off, trying to think of a word to describe her when Naruto came up with one for her. Bitchy. He tried with a smile. Yeah, Hinata agreed, looking over to him, question in his eyes. Naruto sighed loudly, putting an arm around her, I don't know. I really think she's lost it. I'm not sure, she's been like that ever since I got back from my training. She might be jealous. Sasuke tried, making everyone turn to him, well, you know how you always fawned over her, Naruto. Now that you've finally come to your senses and got over her, she's angry. Naruto thought about that, but she doesn't like me anyway, why would she feel bad if I finally got over her? She likes attention, Hinata stated, snuggling up a bit more to Naruto's chest, she probably misses the attention that you used to give her and is now angry. Makes sense, Naruto said, wrapping his arms around Hinata as she snuggled into his lap, head resting in the nape of his neck. He smiled when he felt her kiss it softly before she drifted to sleep. This is it, Spring Country, Sasuke said as they walked through 2 huge white gates. Slowly walking around the nearest town, which Princess Yukie lived, Naruto was first to see the large palace appear in the horizon. There, he yelled, pointing with his free hand which wasn't holding Hinata's. Come on, she said with a smile, let's go. After walking through the front door of Yukie's office, Sasuke and Naruto were engulfed in a backbreaking hug that Hinata happily evaded. Naruto. Sasuke. Who's this new girl? Where's Sakura? You guys have grown into handsome young men. Are you the ninja I asked for? She said with a smile, finally letting go of them and stepping back. She was still rather pretty, in her late 20s, with long black hair and bright eyes. She was wearing a sleek blue dress, since it was summer here, well spring, but the heat was still there. She smiled gently at them as she waited for a reply. Hi Yukie, this is Hinata-chan. And we're just here because we're traveling around for a while. Naruto explained with a smile. Why did you ask for ninja? Sasuke asked, confused. Yukie's expression fell. So you aren't the ninja I asked for. Hinata smiled gently at Yukie. That doesn't mean we won't help. Yukie's eyes brightened when she took in the small girl, who was about up to Naruto's upper chest in size. You're so cute. Yukie squealed and engulfed Hinata in a hug which she couldn't quite evade. Sasuke and Naruto laughed at Hinata's shocked expression as Yukie let go and Hinata stepped back gracefully in between the guys again, giving both Naruto and Sasuke a small elbow in the stomach for laughing. So you can help, Yukie said after the guys composed themselves. Yes, Sasuke answered for the group. Thank you, she said gratefully, pulling out 3 pictures from her desk. Well, there has been a rapist in the city, and I've asked for help because he's out of our league. He's raped these 3 young women in the past week, and with what we know about him, he's ninja. She continued, we also noticed that he goes after teenage girls, and always leaves the girl in the same alleyway when he's done with them. She spat out the last of the sentence, obvious disgust in her voice. We'll get him, Naruto said confidently, before turning to Sasuke and Hinata, who were deep in thought. What are we going to do? Sasuke looked him in the eye. I've got an idea, but you're not going to like it. Especially you, Hinata. Hinata looked up at him, hoping he hadn't come to the same conclusion she had. What is it? Sasuke looked her in the eye. We're going to have to make you his next victim. No, 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 no. Naruto growled at Sasuke. We're not going to put her out there like that. I'll do it instead. I'll do my sexy jutsu and transform into a girl or something. He begged. He's a ninja, Naruto. He'd be able to tell if you're using a transformation by the slight chakra you constantly give out. Sasuke disagreed. Hinata isn't doing it. He held her protectively around the waist, refusing to let her go. Hinata sighed from in Naruto's arms. It's the only way, isn't it? She looked up to Sasuke. No, it's not the only way. Naruto yelled in defiance as Sasuke nodded. What do I have to do? Hinata asked gently. Demon couple. So, practically, we are going to dress you like a. Sasuke said bluntly. I don't like this idea. Naruto protested again. Neither do I. Hinata looked at him. But I'll do it, okay. You won't be far away and if something happens you can have dibs on bashing the guy up. Hinata looked over to him gently kissing him on the cheek. He sighed, okay. Let's get this over and done with. Demon couple. Sasuke, Naruto, Yukie and Hinata walked through the shops, looking for clothes that would make Hinata stand out in a crowd. And of course there was Naruto who was announcing his displeasure with the plan every 5 minutes. Sure, he'd agreed to the plan, but that doesn't mean he'd have to like it. Yukie smiled at Naruto's protectiveness over Hinata, as she walked through the aisles, and grabbed a pair of denim mini shorts. This'll do nicely. She smiled, passing the shorts to Hinata before grabbing a tight blue shirt that would show off Hinata's stomach. This is it. She said with a smile, passing the clothes to the protesting Hinata and shoving her into the change room. Hinata sighed as she changed into the very revealing clothes Yukie had given to her. The blue singlet reached her stomach, leaving a gap and showing her well-toned stomach. Her cleavage was also showing a bit, and she knew she was going to feel uncomfortable, but she had to do it. Sighing, she put on the denim mini shorts on, which didn't reach far beyond her thighs. She pulled at the shorts a bit, but after failing in trying to feel comfortable, she opened the change room doors and stepped out. This better be worth it, she thought to herself with a sigh. Naruto was drooling at the sight before him, while Sasuke carefully kept his face unemotional and Yukie smiled at how the girl turned out. Perfect. It looked better than she had suspected. Yukie had no idea that Hinata had such a great body before this. Naruto quickly snapped out of his drooling. I'm not letting her leave like that. There'll be 10 guys on her in a second. Naruto protested loudly. Yukie thought for a moment, that's it. She quickly disappeared around a corner and reappeared seconds later carrying a pair of silver high heels. Wear these. She placed them onto the ground, letting the blushing Hinata slip her feet into them. Man, you're so goddamn beautiful it's not even funny. Naruto complimented as he walked next to her. She gave him a small smile, before turning to Sasuke who was starting to speak. Okay, now you're ready. Keep this in your ear, and yell if you need anything, we'll be following you silently, he explained, handing her a small earpiece that she placed into her ear, followed by Sasuke and Naruto putting their own in their ears. Masaki and Roki will be staying with Yukie as they would attract too much unwanted attention. Oh, and one more thing. Don't ignore or avoid anyone unless you're positive that they aren't the rapist, okay? Don't worry, we'll be watching you and I'm sure Naruto wouldn't think twice before attacking them if they get too close. He gave her a pat on the back. Let's do this. Hinata nodded to herself, preparing for what she had to do. After Naruto gently kissed her on the lips, he and Sasuke disappeared out of the shop, preparing to act as normal civilians that were unknowingly going in the same direction as Hinata for the night. Hinata took in a deep breath waiting for the, okay, go. Buzz from in her ear before walking out of the shop casually. As soon as she stepped out of the shop she felt stares on her, and they weren't staring at her face, that she was certain. She sighed uncomfortably and continued to walk down the street, waiting for people to come up to her. Always checking around, but making it look unsuspicious. She smiled when she caught sight of Naruto and Sasuke watching her through the reflection of a shop window, talking amongst themselves about nothing particular. Hinata froze when she felt someone slap her, fighting the urge to turn around and hit the person who did so. Hey, baby, the man walked around her, until he was face to face with her. Hinata just, HMMPHED, quietly, that is no way to speak to a lady. She said glaring at the man in front of her. He smirked at her choice of words, then how about we don't speak? He leaned closer, pushing her chin up with his thumb. How about no? She pushed his hand away, and started to walk off before he grabbed onto her wrist. I don't take no for an answer. He said pulling her back towards him. Hinata had